Hello. Today we're going to look at writing HTML. So what I have right now up on the screen is the page from the website. That's the URL, webdesign.blogs.peopleio.net/basics/HTML, which, if you just go to the main blog, it's under basics and HTML to get to this page. And so this has a lot of the sort of basics that you're going to need about how to write HTML. I'm going to come back to this page, but first, just to take a step back, and we're going to look a little bit at, well, what is it that we want to make into HTML? So the two things that you kind of need are, one is a basic understanding of the HTML elements, which this page provides, and then another one is, well, what do you actually want to turn into HTML? So let's say that, let's zoom back out again. Let's say that this is our page, and we want to turn this into HTML. And some little side notes here as I'm going along. I'm going to show you some tools and other things that I use. So this right here is Latin text, and it's often used in design when you want to use something as a placeholder. And if you want to do that for HTML, and we're going to hand code it today, but this is a time saver later if you want. There's this site here called htmlipsum.com right here, and this gives you all this sort of like mock Latin stuff where you can basically just click on one of these titles here and it will copy it to your clipboard like that. And so you can take long paragraphs, lists. The kitchen sink is sort of like the whole page with H1 elements and a whole bunch of other elements in there. Unordered lists, forms, tables, sentences, all that kind of stuff. So it's often a good place to begin when you just need some elements, some blank elements for your design, but you don't want them to be completely blank. You want some text in them. This provides that for you, and what the reason for the Latin is that it makes it obvious that it's not really your final copy. Okay, so there we are. Now what we want to do is we want to take this and we're going to write HTML tags around it, right? Because that's really what tags are. They just say what something is. So before we do that, you kind of think about a little bit about, well, what is it? You can do that without even starting your HTML. So in this example, we have a main title, and then it looks like we have, as the questions here, we have sort of subtitles, right? So all of these are going to be the same. And so what you're thinking about is, like, if pieces on your document are the same, then they all need the same tag around them. So this is one kind of title. I'll maybe make this another title. All this other stuff I'm just going to probably make into plain, paragraphs, just my normal paragraph information. So that's what we have right there. So once we have an idea of what content we have on the site, on the page, the next thing is to put it into a document and start marking this up with HTML. And what I'm going to use to put it in here, the document we're going to put it in, is this one here. And this is a blank XHTML strict file. And if you haven't yet, you should probably take a look at the blank page HTML on the site. So let me just show you that, and I'll explain, because it talks a little bit about what this stuff is here. Doc type, the language, and the content type. Those three things are all very important to having a valid HTML document, and to also making sure it displays correctly in the browsers. Just to show you what that is, if you go into Basics HTML, there's a blank page. And what this document will do is sort of take you through what that is. Doc type, some of the different doc types, and so forth. Language and character encoding, and stuff like that. And at the end of this is a link to this file that I'm using, the blank HTML strict.html. That is a link that you can download. That's this page here. The other thing to talk about is that I'm doing this in what's called a text editor. The one I'm using here is TextMate. It's something available on the Mac, and it costs money. But I want to show you a couple of options that don't cost any money that are Mac and PC as well, two different ones, one for Mac, one for PC. So let's take a look here at Notepad++. So Notepad++ is a PC application that allows you to write in HTML and also a number of other different languages. It's open source, it's free, you can download it, put it on your computer, and it's a great alternative to the sort of Notepad application that comes with Windows. And Text Wrangler, here's the URL for that, make sure you can see it, is a free one that comes on the Mac that also lets you do very powerful, very good text editing on the Mac. And so both of these are ones that you can download for free and use, and most of what we do in this class, these are actually all the tools you need, that and some browsers. So I don't want you to think that you have to have Dreamweaver to do everything in this class. In fact, I'm starting off on this just to remind you that that's the most important part of this is learning how to make proper tags and type them in. One of the things that most text editors will have is a language definition. So when you go and you create a new file, it's important to make sure it shows as HTML. If you downloaded this blank page that I had, it would automatically probably type it as HTML for you. But if you just make a new page often in these, see this one shows up as plain text, I would have to change the language to HTML, and that'll give me, when you change the language, this color coding, right, to color code stuff to make sure that it's easier to see and read. So now let's get down to the heart of what we were actually going to do, which is paste in our HTML. Alright, so our content, and make some HTML for it. So I'm just going to copy this, copy it here, and I'm going to paste it in the body. Right, so remember, body is where everything shows up in our HTML document. I'm going to paste it in there. And it's going to kind of show up like this with nothing there. If you're doing this in Dreamweaver, by the way, make sure you're pasting it in code view. If you paste it in design view, Dreamweaver will add a lot of paragraphs and things for you that you may or may not want. Okay, so now what our job is basically to go and flip back and forth between these things and do the markup that said what we expected things to be. And that's really all the markup is. I'm going to go back quickly to the HTML page here, and just to remind you, partway down this page, right, so this is the other thing, remember, we have tags, we have our opening and closing tags, and that's really what we're doing right now. We're adding these tags around our content. The whole thing together, the opening, closing, and content, is called an element. And there are some tags like images that don't have a closing element tag, sorry, some elements don't have a closing tag, we're not going to use those. This is what I want to get to, this picture here. These are your basic elements. Alright, so basically these are the ones that you should, as a web developer, kind of memorize. What they do and what they're for. If you know these, and there's not too many of them, you know 99% of what you want. I should caveat that HTML5 adds some more. They're all relatively easy because there's some tags around. Instead of having, they have a special tags for headers and navigation and stuff like that. So what we're going to usually start with is our block tags, and blocking out the major sections of the page. And most of what you're going to do is going to be either a paragraph or a title, one of the P or the H1 elements, and then we may have a list here and there. So these sort of here, paragraph, title, lists, that's the big workhorses of your markup that we're going to do.